Hey there, thank you for coming back to my channel, and if you are new here, welcome. Today I am bringing you a review of the full 3CE Clear Layer Edition. We'll be taking a look at both of the eyeshadow palettes as well as the 6 lipsticks that accompany them. I'll also be doing a comparison between the 2 eyeshadow palettes in this collection to the 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐸 My Fave Mood eyeshadow palettes, as well as the Clio Pro Eye palettes in Into Lace and Botanic Mauve. There are some very exciting changes to the formula of the eyeshadow as well as the lipsticks from 3CE, so stay tuned until the end to find out more. This is the second release of the Clear Layer Edition, and this time the collection is divided into 2 sets, the warm set and the cool set. We will first take a look at the 2 9-pan eyeshadow palettes. The warm palette is called Buttercream. This is a soft and very cozy looking brown palette inspired by butter and crispy toast. Compared to the 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐸𝐿𝐿 Daisy palette, the Buttercream palette from 3CE is more distinctly warm, and the shade variation in the Buttercream palette is not quite as wide as the variation in the Daisy palette. If it was not for the variety in the glitter texture in the Into Lace palette from Clio, I would say that the Buttercream palette and the Into Lace palette are quite similar in shade variation. Moving on to the cool palette, this palette is called Somdef. Even though 3CE stated on their website that this palette consists of harmonious lavender shades, I would say that it is actually much closer to a rosy pink palette. Nonetheless, this palette is definitely the coolest undertone palette out of all the palettes that 3CE has released. Putting the Somdef palette up against the Daisy palette, you can definitely see that the Somdef palette contains more mauve and pinkish shades. However, up against the Moony palette, the Somdef palette is definitely not as cool in undertone. Now, what if we compare Botanic Mauve from Clio to Somdef from 3CE? As you can see in the shade swatches, the shades in Somdef are not quite as cool tone as the shades in Botanic Mauve, and there are also more variations of browns in Botanic Mauve. The standout for me in both palettes are the glitter shades. In each palette, we get 3 different glitter textures, and that is not to mention the shimmer shades in the palettes. All of these glitter shades look quite distinctive from each other, which means that the looks created using each of these palettes will not quite look that similar to each other. Specifically, there is a new glitter texture that 3CE introduced in these 2 palettes, which I am quite impressed with. This new glitter texture is probably best described as a pressed jelly glitter texture. When you touch the pan, you will definitely feel some wetness and kind of a mochi texture. And when you swatch these shades, you will see just how densely packed the pigments are, as well as how metallic these shades look. One thing to note about these glitter shades is that because they are pressed glitter, if you apply too much at once, there will be fallout. I got a little bit too excited here and applied quite a bit at once, and you can see all these specks of glitter fallout on my cheek. Because of the different glitter textures in these palettes, I can create different effects using the same base eyeshadows as I switch out the topper glitter shades. Here I am using a normal dry glitter on one side, and on the other side I am using this new glitter texture that 3CE introduced. As you can see, the side where I use the normal glitter looks very daytime appropriate and quite subtle, whereas the side that I use the new glitter texture looks very appropriate for nighttime or special occasion. Let's also now talk about the 6 different lipsticks that accompany these 2 eyeshadow palettes. These lipsticks are all in the soft matte finish, and the formula is quite similar to the 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐸 Last Powder lipsticks, although the 3CE soft matte lipsticks are less powdery and also less likely to clump when multiple layers are applied. Just like the 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐸 Last Powder lipsticks, these 3CE soft matte lipsticks don't stain very well, and even though there is some transferring, the transferring amount is not significant. The 3 warm shades include Orange Breeze, a soft and slightly muted brick orange, Soft Mellow, an orange coral, and Warmish Mauve, a beige with a hint of a warm brown. This shade looks okay on its own, but for me personally, I like to use Warmish Mauve as the base shade, then use Orange Breeze in the center of my lips. The cool tone shades are Chill Mauve, a deep mauve rose with a hint of brown, Hazy Rose, a mid-tone rosy pink, and lastly, Way Back, a muted beige rose, which is my favorite kind of cool tone base lip color. That is all for today, guys. I thoroughly enjoyed this new improved formula of the 3CE bullet lipsticks, and I also want to applaud the 3CE team for introducing this very interesting gel texture for their glitter eyeshadow formula. Hit the like button if you have enjoyed this video, and also consider subscribing to my channel for more content on Korean beauty in the future. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I'll see you guys in my next video.